Hi, this is Dennis Gage. Welcome to My Classic Car and our huge birthday celebration. Now, before I give it away, see if you can figure out which American car company is celebrating its 100th birthday. No, it's not Ford, but that was a good guess. Keep in mind that as I speak, it's August 1997 and you're watching this in 1998. It's that television time travel thing, you know. Still haven't figured it out? Well, here are some hints. We're in Lansing, Michigan, and this company was originally famous for their curved dash models. Yep, you guessed it. Oldsmobile just turned 100. In a few minutes, we'll show you some of the gala celebration for America's oldest car company. But first, here's this week's Classic Designers and Engineers feature on Virgil Exner, the man who put Chrysler on a styling map back in the 1950s.
Virgil Exner was, in fact, one of the greatest contributors to the automobile industry. His drawings of automobiles were just smashing. So much so that he did the brochures for Studebaker in 1932 and 33. Harley Earl saw it, and Harley Earl hired him to work as a designer for General Motors, and he did the 37s and 38 Pontiacs, which were very, very nice cars. And it was about this time, you know, his career was about ready to go forth at General Motors, but he got such an offer from Raymond Loewy that he quit General Motors and worked for Loewy at Studebaker. But it wasn't until the post-war years that Virgil Exner's Studebakers started to be known to the public. In Detroit in 1946, they had the 50th anniversary of the automobile. Way at the end, I could see this little red car down there. It was the new Studebaker. It was beautiful. I was in awe. My dad was in awe. I, right there on the spot, talked him into getting one. Virgil Exner didn't stay very long at Studebaker either. There were some disagreements with Loewy, but really the important thing was that Chrysler was in trouble, like Studebaker was in trouble, but Chrysler was in more trouble.
Well, Chrysler Corporation was a company that was kind of constipated with the failure of the airflow. And after that, the Chrysler cars were contemporary but very, very conservative. And so it happened that Virgil Exner was coming off his Studebaker experience, and so he was hired at Chrysler, but he wasn't to touch the production stuff. His first assignment was to do a show car, and his first show car was the Chrysler K310. And he did a series of show cars after that. They were designed in Detroit. The bodies often were made by Ghia in Italy.
Ghia had a contract with Volkswagen to make a special little sporty coupe and sell it on a Volkswagen chassis. And they used the design of the D'Elegance show car that Exner used for the whole body theme of that Carmen Ghia.
First car line that Exner had responsibility for were the 1955 forward-look cars. And when the 55 Chrysler Corporation cars came out, they pulled at least even with the rest of the industry. They were very, very beautiful cars. Color played an important part in the design of the forward look. Three-tone color combinations. Each of the Chrysler cars that year, except Imperial, had color sweeps, accented by chrome moldings, but not in a gaudy fashion. But all of these cars were a mere prelude to what Exner accomplished in 1957.
I was working in Cadillac studio at the time, and we'd heard about these cars lined up outside the plant. And we drove down at lunchtime and looked at those cars. And we couldn't believe it. They were so low and so gorgeous. And the roofs were thin and graceful, and the cars had a beautiful taper to their fins and the shapes. The bumpers were integrated. They were gorgeous, gorgeous cars, and it shook the pants off us. He influenced everybody. And somehow now they look even better. And that's the mark of a really great designer.
Virgil Exner passed away in 1973, but his forward look continues to influence the design of today's cars. He will always be remembered as one of the master stylists.
My Classic Car.
We'll be back after these messages.
Welcome back to My Classic Car and the Oldsmobile 100th Anniversary celebration. The fine folks here in Lansing, Michigan sure know how to throw a non-stop 4-day party. The number of cars, events, and people have been overwhelming. The Olds Motor Vehicle Company was officially established on August 21, 1897 by Ransom E. Olds of Lansing, Michigan. Oldsmobile is the first American car company to celebrate 100 years in business, and they threw a huge 4-day party in Lansing.
Happy birthday, dear Oldsmobile. Happy birthday. All right.
Events included a birthday celebration, complete with cake, a 3-mile parade to the state capitol, a cruise around the city, and numerous car shows. There were more than 2,000 Oldsmobiles in town from all across the country. Just about every year and model was represented. And there were plenty of celebrities who came to join in the fun.
Oh, it's wonderful, all these Oldsmobiles.
You know, Darwin, as general manager of Oldsmobile, tell me about what the 100th anniversary, the 100th birthday means to Oldsmobile.
Well, I think it has many, many meanings. First, it's great to be the first American car company to reach 100 years of age, knowing that about 2,500 companies have tried and only a handful will ever get to that point. But I think it really shows that Oldsmobile has the ability to change to meet the needs of the customers that they're serving. And without that change, I think we would have been one of those 2,500 that didn't make it. So I think it really speaks highly to the Olds teams over the years that have really brought cars to the market that people want to buy.
Well, it certainly does, and there's certainly been quite an array of cars here at this event. It's huge.
Oh yeah, we've got 2,200 classic Oldsmobiles here. We'll have one of every production year except the 07 and the 014, or 07 and the 14. So we'll literally have got 100 years of production here for everybody to take a look at. So that in itself is just truly exciting.
I enjoyed looking at all the cars, but I was drawn to the curved dash models. After all, this was the car that put Oldsmobile on the automotive map, and getting behind the wheel, I mean tiller, sounded like a real treat. All I needed was a quick driving lesson. So Keith, this is what started it all. This is the first mass-produced Olds?
First mass-produced Olds. Henry Ford came down to learn how to mass-produce cars and came down and talked to Ransom E. Olds and looked at his curved dash Oldsmobile.
What year?
1904 curved dash. It's a fairly simple machine, basically made buggy type springs, all 4 horsepower.
And it's back here, right? The 4 horsepower
Yep.
engine.
Believe it or not, we even had hood latches back then in 1904 on the bottom. It's a fairly simple machine with a
one cylinder,
water cooled. It just puts along like an old tractor.
Uh-huh. What was the transmission on it?
The transmission is a band type transmission, and it's got planetary gears for reverse.
So how does this baby start up?
Well, it's a manual crank right here. Cranks it
Off to the side.
off to the side. If you're good, you can do it by yourself.
I'm not that good.
Compression release here on the floor. This is your shifter, 2 speeds forward and 1 reverse. Then this is your spark advanced and retarded. And then this is your ignition, which is just basically 2 brass buttons that make contact to a small battery in the back there.
Well, what do you say we give it a go?
Hop up and we'll try it.
Aha! You know, they don't make them like this anymore. I think there's a reason for that. What a riot. Keith, this thing was a blast.
Great. Glad you could enjoy it, and glad you came to Lansing to enjoy Oldsmobile's 100th birthday.
It was our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Welcome back to My Classic Car. Not long ago, I had the chance to get an up-close look at a 440 6-barrel Cuda, a car I've admired from a distance over the years. I was anxious to see if this Cuda would live up to its bad boy image. And believe me, I wasn't disappointed. Well, Well, today I'm in Lakeland, Florida at the home of Dobbs Publishing at one of their tech centers, here with Chuck West. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Pleasure.
And one of Chuck's cars, a true muscle car legend, a 70 Cuda. And not just a 70 Cuda, but a 440 Cuda. And not just a 440 Cuda, but a 6-barrel. Is that right?
That's 100% right.
That's one bad boy.
Bad boy.
Bad boy. It's a pretty original car. Is that right?
All but the paint and the tires.
But it's the right color.
Correct.
Which
and
is?
Lemon twist yellow.
And you've got about how many miles on it?
A little over 44,000.
And you drive it?
About 300 or 400 miles a weekend.
I respect that. Kind of an interesting set of options you've got in there. And I like the color-coordinated fire extinguisher.
I've got to be prepared for anything, Dennis.
Absolutely. So what all has it got?
Well, it's got the rim blow steering wheel, the rally gauges, and you'll notice a column shift and no slapstick console on the floor, and a 410 Dana.
Built to run.
Nothing but run.
But let's go to the show.
That's where we need to be, Dennis.
And this is the show, isn't it? That shaker hood.
Yes, sir. That's the shaker hood scoop.
Put on quite a song and dance for everybody to see. What was the real purpose of that?
Strictly intimidation on the street.
Well, and it was intimidating, seeing that thing rumble away. Well, let's lift her up and look at it.
Let's open her up.
Big block monster. Now you got headers on there, I see, but otherwise it's pretty stock?
Yes, sir. Except for the plug wires and electronic ignition, it's pretty much stock.
Well, this is a view most people are used to seeing when you lift the hood on a shaker car. But let's pull that shaker scoop off and look at those 6 barrels.
Only take a second.
Got it.
Thank you.
All right. So that's 3 2-barrel Hollies, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. She rides around on the middle 2-barrel when you're cruising, and then when you're wanting to have some fun, you step into it and all 3 2-barrels open up.
And the gas gauge goes down.
Yes, it does, Dennis.
I just noticed that your shaker insignia there. Is that me, or is this thing shaking already?
Probably a little bit of both of you.
Well, now the 426 Hemi always got all the glory. Was rated at 425 horse. What's this rated at?
This is 390 horsepower, but the same torque rating of 490 foot-pounds, Dennis.
And these 2 cars, actually this car could give a Hemi a run for the money on the street.
It really would. It would run heads up with it on the street.
Well, and speaking of running heads up on the street, you do drive this. Let's take this out and run it around a little bit.
Let's go play, Dennis.
Well, let's put it back together. Really is an intimidating looking car though, the way the back quarters are hunched up there and roof's kind of pinched down and a big long hood.
It's definitely what they call in the league of the pony cars.
Oh yeah.
And of course I'm a little bit partial. I love all muscle cars, but I think between this and the Hemi Cuda, it's the ultimate.
This one really is put together in kind of an interesting way from an option standpoint.
It's thought to be a factory executive order car because it's kind of an oddball combination with the rally gauge package, the rim blow horn, the shaker, the Dana 60, but yet no console like most of them came with a Hemi Torque Flight, because 9 times out of 10 they were always on the floor with a slapstick.
Right.
But this one was ordered for whatever reason with the column.
Real fine. Well, Chuck, we're here on a lonely private road. What do you say we light them up?
Let's do it.
Melt some asphalt.
My classic car will be back
The Olds 100th birthday celebration continues behind me, but we're out of time. Our thanks to Oldsmobile and the fantastic owners here in Lansing, the birthplace of the company.